because we was on a phone call last night and we was like, why is this not alive? Like, why are we not sharing this wisdom with people? So we decided to just hop on. I don't know.
Yeah, we were like be having some real life talks, and we like the world be needing to hear this for real. I don't always want to expose my business, but the Lord be like, yeah, we gonna expose you. And I'm like, if I gotta be the one, I volunteer as tribute.
I think it's funny. We be really having deep conversations that like other people would be like, are y'all really talking about that? Like who does that? Just like on a random Tuesday.
Bro. And the fact that I have to be willing and able to receive what it is that you tell me though. Because if y'all want to keep it real, this girl, she straight up told me, the man you talking to, he wouldn't be talking to you no more if he saw what was in your phone. I said, oh! When I
Okay,
tell you, I immediately blocked. I'm sorry, we jump in the gate, but bro.
don't do me. I did not just come for her like that. But for one,
But I received.
if I have friends that like I don't play about my friends like that. Like if I'm actually your friend, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Like what good am I to you if I'm capping? That don't make sense. And we were talking about relationships. Y'all know I talk about it often, like with a godly relationship versus a worldly relationship. So if I think you're leaning more toward a godly situation, then why do you got that other ex-boyfriend in your phone?
Yeah, y'all, she kind of convicted me a little bit because those that were on my live the other night when I was doing my nails, y'all know I was telling y'all how my ex Fling, my ex was trying to slide through. He was, and instead of just like shutting it down, I entertained it just because it was fun. But Chelsea helped me realize like you're supposed to flee from temptation, bro. And you're sitting up here entertaining it, and that's how it ends up leading into now you just in it. Like you should have ran.
Right. Exactly. And I did tell her, like, if he saw that, he would automatically, especially a man of God, he would use discernment in that moment and be like, oh, she playing with me. But I also think, we always got to make everything deep. I also think it's about the integrity in it. Like even if he don't see it, what is that doing for you? Like, are you now questioning your own character behind closed doors? Like, why do I show up as one person behind closed doors when nobody can see me, but then in front of him, I'm a woman of God? Like, I'm confused.
No. Yep. Nope. Big Sis was right on that one, y'all. So in conclusion, the dude is blocked. I'm no longer entertaining it. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Because I already knew he wasn't anything that I wanted. Now, mind y'all, I don't want y'all to think I'm some cheater or something. I am not in a relationship with this man. He is a potential. And that is honestly why we're here today.
Potential men and godly marriages and relationships. But I will say with my situation, I definitely had to start moving different. Even when I was praying for that husband, like even before it became a thing, it's like if you're praying for something, why are you not preparing for that to happen? If you're praying for a husband, why are you acting single in your inbox? Or why you know what I'm saying? Like you don't even have space ready for a husband to come into your space, even if he's there, or even if God was ready for you. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of like when we were talking about like you're not just a wife whenever you get that ring on your finger. Like you're seriously a wife when you decide that that's what you want to become. Okay, let's start walking as if we are one. Let's start preparing as if we are one. Because say you got all these bad qualities and these bad traits that you took no time to prune up out of you, and all of a sudden you think you got a ring, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm this lovely wife, baby. No, no, you're not. Yeah. You still have all these things that the Lord was wanting to do work with, but you was chasing a ring.
Ooh, you better preach.
Bro.
You better preach. You say you was chasing the ring. So let's talk about that though, because I feel like that is a very society type of thing. That's a very worldly thing as far as you're chasing the ring or you're just chasing the partnership. Like how many of us are praying for husbands, but we're not actually chasing a union? Like we're not chasing an actual godly relationship. We just want the man that God has for us without preparing ourselves to be the woman that he needs for us to be, right? Like we're chasing the ring.
I'm telling you, at this point, it's like the world's perception of marriage, period, is off. It's completely off. And it's crazy because all these things we were talking about. So I'm just going to leave out, we were talking about earlier. We know we talked about it. We had a girl slumber party at the church, y'all, and we were talking about what is your reason for wanting marriage? Most people say, like, for example, my used to be answer was, I want to be married because I never saw it. I want to be married because I want a family. I want to be married because I just want that beautiful type of love. That's not what marriage is about. I'm sorry to tell you. Marriage is about finding a purpose partner to help you to pursue what the Lord has called you to do. and you have a helpmate to help you get the kingdom mission done. Marriage
Right.
ain't about the love. Marriage ain't about, oh, I just have a beautiful family. I mean, that's all icing and cherries on top of the cake, okay? Who is your purpose partner? Who has
Right.
a purpose that aligns with yours and can help you work on a kingdom mission? And I was like, dang, you're
Yeah.
wanting marriage for the wrong things.
Yeah. Well, and that's the difference between a worldly marriage and a godly marriage. A worldly marriage is just for entertainment. Like you're just looking for a road trip partner, right? But a godly marriage comes with purpose. Like you're on a mission to go somewhere. There's a reason that you two came into contact that's much different than just, that's much deeper than just a road trip partner. You know, I love my road trip analogy. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than entertainment or just somebody to sleep next to or somebody to take the trash out. Like it's deeper than just a 50-50 connection. Like a godly relationship, it's a union. It's much bigger than either of you guys.
And it's crazy because it's like once you open your eyes up to start looking at marriage in that way, everything looks different. Before that slumber party, I would have still been thinking, I want a marriage just because I feel like I deserve a family. I never saw it. That's not good enough reason to be married. I never knew that. And when they said that, when I tell you my mind, everything changed. Because now it's like when I'm dating, I'm looking for, can you help me towards my purpose in the kingdom? Like, I don't care if you look good by my side. I don't care if you look good on paper. Does your purpose align with mine? Can we
Yeah.
move and grow forward together? Like, can you help me get in the kingdom gates? Like,
Ooh,
bro.
say kingdom gates. Can you
Whoa.
help me get to God or
That was
no?
good to me. But can we talk about, okay, y'all. So basically what prompted this whole conversation is I messaged this girl a journal entry. The Lord had me up. If y'all hear me say JC, I'm talking about Jesus Christ. That's my, that's my homie right there. He had me up at 2, 3 in the morning because he was not letting me go. And it was really irritating to me, y'all. He was not letting your girl go. And you want to know why? Because I'm sitting up here weeping about why this man was like, I say taken away from me. I'm dramatic. Chelsea know I'm dramatic, right? So I've been talking to this guy and it was going good, but now inconsistency has fell into the play. Like he's not communicating as much. I feel like he's not talking to me as much. And I'm sitting up here crying like, God, why every time I meet a good guy, you just take him away? Why every single time? And y'all, I'm upset. And I'm just sitting there because I'm waiting for this man to talk back. Say something. I'll wait. And he's like, I'm going to allow you to sit in this place because I want you to see how you act when I gave you what you want. And I was like, what you mean by that? I said, what you trying to say? Y'all, this man made me realize that once I gave you what you wanted, we don't even talk no more. Y'all want to know what this man had me write? Do you? That looked like a ghost story right there. You want to know?
Right. This man is God. She's talking about
Yes,
God.
this man, y'all. I'm sorry. It's God. It's JC. I said, he's allowing me to sit here in my feelings. Yes, he can correct it. Yes, he can change it. But he said, I want you to sit there and I want you to see that, yes, I gave you all of what you prayed for. However, did you see once I did that, we barely talk. Where I'm taking you, you won't be able to manage it. We need to be more locked in that, Buki. And it's the fact that I allowed this abrupt pause to happen to show you why we can't go further than this. Like, y'all know I'm a big YouTuber. I want to be a big YouTuber. I want 1 million subscribers. I want to quit my corporate job. In that little lesson last night, God showed me, I gave you the bare minimum of what I have for you. And our communication is all jacked up. But you want me to take you there? Oh, baby, the world gonna swallow you up whole.
Ooh.
I was like,
Yeah, it be hurting. I'm like, you, dang, ouch. You got me.
when I tell y'all, I sat in that corner just mute. Like when your father pop you in your mouth.
Yeah.
I felt so bad because it's like, how dare I be sitting up here upset about the lack of communication from this man when God is like,
Yeah.
you want to know another crazy analogy that I got on the way home? For Chelsea's followers that don't know me, y'all, I have a lot of crazy analogies, and the Lord gives them to me because they make sense to me. But you know how you'll probably be dating a guy, say for 30 days or even 3 months, they can put on their best act. They'll take you to the best days. They'll have the best time. They'll show their best behavior. They will not miss a beat because they're working towards getting into them pants. Okay. And the second they get into them pants, they out of here. And y'all know how hurtful that is, right? The Lord was like, well, that's how I be feeling. When y'all sit up here and y'all read the word, y'all are acting as if y'all are so intentional about getting to know me. Y'all are acting as if it's me and you, God.
Right.
And then the second y'all see my hand in something, the second I give you an answer prayer, you're gone. When I tell y'all, I was weeping. That that did it for me. I was like, we're like those dudes that
Right.
act good to get in your
Unintentionally.
pants.
I
Yeah.
don't think we mean to do that, but I saw a sermon recently that said we all be so thirsty for what's in God's hand, but we're not thirsty enough to actually take God's hand, right? Like we want what God has for us, but we don't want relationship with God. We're more excited about everything God has planned for us than we are about forming that relationship with him. And that's the crazy part. Because once we start receiving these things that God has for us, now we're losing relationship with God, not understanding that when you're praying for that godly man, that relationship requires you to show up as a godly woman. Like you're praying for the man that God has for you, but then you're not willing to show up as the person God created you to be for that man. That doesn't make sense.
Jesus. I think, let me tell you, bro. Oh my God, talk about conviction. I feel like because it's so easy once you get an answered prayer to get so caught up in it that you unnaturally, what's the word? Like you unnaturally go back to your worldly ways of being fixated and making that person an idol, even though it's unintentional. Like you don't mean to, but it's something that you couldn't wait to get. So you're so excited that you don't remember, I need to stay focused. That's tough.
And what's crazy is I feel like I struggled with that because I felt like I had to force myself to stay focused. Like the whole I need to stay focused. You don't necessarily need to do anything. You deserve to stay focused because if God showed you a little bit of what he has for you, imagine what he actually has for you if you do stay focused. I feel like that's how I'm able to stay consistent in everything. I stay consistent because I deserve to stay consistent. Like I deserve to see everything that God has for me.
No, for real, that part. And that reminds me, so y'all, this was another piece that he had gave me last night that I was up writing in my journal. First of all, before I even say it, is the word mundane or mundane?
Mundane, mundane. Ooh.
Okay, well, y'all know the word that we trying to say.
No,
You know,
hold on, because they already know me better than I have
How
to
do you
know.
pronounce?
Look, how do you pronounce mundane?
Because the Lord gave me a word on this that really just spoke to me heavily. But first, we have to learn how to pronounce this word.
Mundane.
Mundane. I mean, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. So basically, going from Chelsea's point, talking about like I deserve to see everything that it is that he's called for me to do. So it's natural and it's become easier for her to stay connected with God. God had gave me this last night, and it literally was insanity to me. He was like, if you cannot commit to being consistent with me, with daily mundane readings, because we all know that we're not always feeling, and I know that for me, you're not always going to be on fire for Christ. Like there's sometimes when I'm reading scriptures and I'm like, oh yes, Lord, that was exactly what I needed. I'm so thankful. Yes, Jesus. And then there's other times where I read, I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm sorry, excuse me. Like, what is this? What is the purpose? But at the end of the day, that shouldn't deter you from reading his word because you should know that it's living seed. Like, it doesn't matter if you truly understand it, just give the Holy Spirit something to pull from when you need it. And so he was like, if you can't commit to being consistent with me, with daily mundane readings, there's no way you'll be committed in a 40+ year marriage because the temperature will not always be on fire. I was like, Jesus! Because how crazy is it, y'all? We be freaking talking about we want these beautiful long marriages. How you gonna do that if you can't even commit to reading a scripture a day?
Ooh, you can't read. I think it was, I never know where I found certain quotes, like it was a podcast or whatever, but they said, you want a marriage so bad, but how can you submit yourself to a man if you can't submit yourself to Christ? And I was like, oh, I know that's right. But that's true. We struggle to submit to God unless we're receiving all the promises right now. Like, unless it's all sunshine and rainbows. Like, when it gets boring, when it gets difficult to have hope or remain faithful, like when it don't look like when it doesn't look like God is loving us in that moment, then we struggle. But then we pray constantly for a husband, not realizing that a marriage is not just happiness. That's not the whole purpose. Like, a marriage comes with so many trials. There's so many times where you're not going to even, be feeling in love with that individual, right? Like, because love is a choice. Well, love is very subjective, but love is a choice and a decision as much as it is just a feeling. And you have to be willing to submit yourself over in those moments if we're talking about a godly marriage. But how can you do that if you can't even submit to God?
That feeling of entitlement I was just
Ooh.
talking about. Y'all, I was on my way home. When I tell you this man, y'all keep hearing me say this man, Jesus been on my head heavy lately, like to the point where I'm like, can I catch a break? Like, I'm
Mhm.
still trying to process what happened last night. Can I catch a break? But I really feel like a season of acceleration is upon us. And so
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna need you. You're listening? Great. Here you go. Let's figure it out. So I'm driving home and I hear entitlement. And that's how the
Mhm.
Lord communicates with me. Sometimes he'll just give me words and he's like, go figure out what I want you to do with that. So I'm like, entitlement, entitlement. What does that mean? What do you want me to say about this? And then I was like, is you calling me a spoiled brat, my dude? Like, Jesus called me a spoiled brat. And he was like, you feel like you are entitled to the promises that I have for you.
Ooh-wee.
Let me tell you something. My heart was hurt because I said, no. What you talking about? You're sitting up here praying for a husband, yet you're not even being obedient to what I told you to do. You're not
Mm.
obedient to the rules that I set for my house. You're not obedient
Mm.
to anything that I've told you to do year after year after year, but you're feeling like I need to be sending you something anyway. And I
Yeah.
was like, let's put it in like a natural form. I don't have kids, but we just know that this is how this works with kids. Yes, I'm your parent, but you're not entitled for me to give you anything besides
Mm.
life and a roof over your head and to make sure you
Mm.
stay alive. Anything outside of that, that's just because I'm a loving parent and I want to and I feel like you deserve. But it's
Mm.
like the second that kid stop obeying the rules that I have in his house, baby, outside of keeping you alive, there is nothing else I have for you.
Oh.
And I feel like the Lord is like, I mean, I love you. Yes, baby, you my baby. We locked in. Yes, you're my child.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep you alive. I'm gonna make sure you're safe. The angels are protected. But this
Mhm.
extra glory that you're wanting, that only comes with obedience
Yeah.
and sacrifice and
Yeah.
commitment and discipline. I'm like, oh, that's ghetto.
No, that'd be the hardest thing. I talk about that often, how everything comes with the price tag. So, yes, God has a whole lot in store for you. God has a whole lot planned for you. There's a whole lot of blessings right there waiting for you to receive them, but you have to be willing to put the work in to get it. You're not just going to get all the things God has planned for you and all the blessings because you deserve it. We all deserve it. Well, none of us actually deserve it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, God loves all of us. So, what makes you think that you're so entitled to your blessings if you're not even willing to put the work in? Mind you, not even that, but you're not even willing to prioritize the relationship with him. You just want all the benefits all the time. What? That's
Like
crazy.
this man is not no fairy. He is not no genie that you just. Where's my cup? Oh Lord, Father God, I thank you, Jesus. Let me get this husband tomorrow. Like, baby, that's not how this works. What's your name again? I ain't talked to you since last dude. What's your
Yeah.
name again?
Ooh.
Talk about that's my biggest fear. Talk about
Yeah.
getting to the gates, and he's like, I don't know you.
Ooh. Did you see that In Totality episode with Megan?
I haven't been watching her because the balance is off. I'm sorry. I know. No, I haven't.
Dang, she said something like that was one of her biggest fears. She's like, I just want to be the one that he knows. Like, I want him to know me. Like, I want to live life in a way to where when I get there, he recognizes me. Like, he knows me. Like, he's not gonna sit there and say, you lived your whole life and I was not a part of it at all. Like, ooh, it was so good. It was so good. All right, let me see. Should I be reading these comments? Hold on, let's read through a couple of them. That's how it is. We get the man and that's it. You're on this late, yeah. And trust me, being a Proverbs woman is a lot of work. We need a YouTube playback of this for real. Someone said, I'm widowed. I stayed till he passed. Chelsea, Lord, Chelsea's preaching. Hey, ladies. Making him an idol hit different. I was so scared that I was going to make my boyfriend an idol. You got something to say? You got something to say about that one?
What you trying to say? Yo,
Nothing. That kind of came about in our conversation, not as in an idol. But
I mean, but basically, yes. So, long story short, y'all, I was having a feeling that this dude, again, was not communicating with me as much as I like. I'm sitting up here checking my phone. I'm looking for him to text me back. I'm like, why he ain't text me back yet? I'm sitting in the middle of training. I'm minding my own business. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing at work. And the Lord decides to interrupt. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on, Lord? This is really how I be thinking in my brain. And he was like, the reason you're so focused on this man not texting you back is because you're not doing what I called you to do. You're not doing what I told you to do. So you sit up here staring at your phone because you ain't got nothing better to do because you're not doing what I told you to do. I was in my meeting like, my God.
at your neck.
And I literally was like, this is true, y'all. because I'm in already vacation mode in my head because I leave for a cruise next weekend. And so my whole routine is off. And usually when I'm on routine, I'm getting up at 3, 4 in the morning. I'm going to the gym. I'm listening to sermons. I'm talking to the Lord. I'm journaling. I'm doing what I need to do. And then by the time I get home, 7, 8 o'clock, baby, I'm in the bed. But now that my whole routine is off and I've allowed myself to go without really connecting with the Lord like I'm used to, all my time is freed up. So what am I doing? I'm staring at my phone. Why ain't this man texting me back? And the Lord was like, I'm not going to have him start doing what I called him to do because you sit up here not knowing what to do with your life because you don't want to listen.
Ooh.
So he made me realize very quickly that I was already making him low key and idle because I'm sitting up here dang near monitoring this man. For what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I was doing what I need to do, I wouldn't have even noticed.
Yeah. I feel like I was that way. Like I was that way as far as like, I think I told you this, like I was very possessive and very like needy, like very clingy, like mine, like talk to me all the time and see me all the time and like don't even think about anything else outside of me. But that's because I didn't have a life of my own. And that brings me to like the ice cream analogy that I'm always talking about. Like you have 3 scoops in your own sundae dish, right? Like we all have a sundae dish. You have 3 scoops in your own sundae dish. Mine is myself, God, and my purpose, all 3 of my scoops, right? And then the husband, is the cherry on top of the sundae. And we're so focused on the cherry way before we have the ice cream. Like, what is the cherry even supposed to be doing if you have no ice cream in your dish? And that's why we get so focused on it, because now we feel empty, because because you don't have a life. You have no purpose. You're not focusing on God. You're not focusing on yourself. So you can't even have a purpose. So you have 0 ice cream and you're thirsty to have a cherry. That makes no sense.
Like, what are you bringing to the table? And that's crazy because it's like that's when worldly relationships versus godly relationships really come into play, because it's like, what do you have to offer?
Yeah.
Like if you're not sitting up here doing what the Lord told you to do, what are you adding on to me? Like what are you doing outside of just telling me what to do and monitoring? Don't you be doing this, that? Girl, you need to go get some business of your own. And that reminded me, y'all, because I found it. It's like Ruth chapter 2 where they talk about, I think this kind of goes back into the topic of marriage. When Boaz found Ruth, it wasn't that she was waiting. It wasn't that she was crying. It wasn't that she was sitting up here being so upset because where's my man? She was working, minding her own business, tending to what the Lord told her to do. And Boaz said, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that we sitting up here like Chelsea, that video that I sent you where he was like a man who finds a wife. It doesn't say a man who seeketh or whatever that thing said, whatever that video said. He found her. He didn't have to do nothing extra. She was working. Business.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is crazy, because I feel like we be so thirsty for godly men, but then we expect them to act worldly, as in don't have any business of your own. Don't prioritize any time for church or God or anything. Like, don't ever prioritize time for yourself, because then I'm questioning your character, or I'm questioning your loyalty or your commitment. Like, can the man have time to read the word? You want him to read you.
Get out my neck or nah? If you got something to say it to my face. Because
you want a man to lead you, but for one, you don't know how to be led, and for two, you won't even let him lead himself in this moment. He's still in his single season, and you won't let him lead, bro.
Yo, she's coming for my neck, and you want to know why? This girl has talked me off the ledge so many times, because I'm a blocking queen, baby. Hi, Bookies. Hey, Nick. Hey, hey, Harry. I'm a blocking queen. The second my energy is disturbed, I don't care what it is. Blocked. The second I feel like you're playing with my time, I don't care what the reason. Blocked. And so I'm telling her all these things about him, and she's like, that's a good man, Savannah. That's a good man. I want to block him. And she's like, Kenzie, baby, wait. She said, why? He ain't text me back yet, and I feel like he playing with my time. But y'all, okay, let's talk about it. If you want to go there, y'all.
Let's do it. Somebody said my blocking energy is so strong, so I feel you.
Period. Because who's playing with my time in 2024? Not nobody.
This is terrible, y'all. This is very toxic, but go ahead.
I know. So we're correcting it. And this is why the Lord is allowing all of this to happen. Because at least I'm very self-aware. Y'all, you've got to be self-aware, because I could have easily took Chelsea's advice and be like, you're a hater. You don't freaking know what you're talking about. Like, I could have turned that into something bad. but I really understand that this girl be trying to help me. So long story short, the reason I wanted to block this dude is because one, I'm scared. I am terrified of getting hurt again because I understand what it feels like for me to be on the ground, not wanting to get back up the next day. Okay. And not saying that that was due because of love, but it was everything about life and then love added onto it. It was a mess. Right. And so one, I'm scared of being hurt. And two, you know, as women, we find the smallest things a man can do. And consistency, it can be something so small. That man can text you, good morning, gorgeous, every morning. The second he says good morning, oh, you don't like me no more. Where's the gorgeous? That's me. It is. And then I basically just realized like our communication just was not where I wanted it to be because I once saw what it was. It's no longer that. He's apologized many times. He said, I'm sorry I miscommunicated that this is a busy season for me. But at the end of the day, in my mind, a text takes 30 seconds. So what is the problem? But Chelsea has a different perspective. Because if I'm to be honest, y'all, he has showed up. I came to him with 3 problems where I was like, I'm kind of feeling away. I just want to talk about it. And he's respectfully handled me very well in each one of those. And he's been a man of his word and how he moved forward about it, right? But still, if I find inconsistencies, like I'm still in my head about it. And I want to block him and I don't want to talk to him anymore because in my mind, I'm protecting myself from getting hurt. But Chelsea, go ahead, tell him.
It's like, I do see what you're saying, but I feel like if you're not in a relationship, why are you requiring that man to be consistent to your needs all the time? Like, y'all are getting to know each other. So I feel like in the dating season, it's not so much like, this is everything I need, like, give it to me or I'm leaving. It's like, I bring what I bring to the table and you bring what you bring to the table, and let's see if we're aligned. Let's see if we connect. Because otherwise, you're forcing him to do something that might be completely out of his character. But I also feel like that man told you he's in a busy season. Like, if you're mad that he ain't texting you back when he's preaching, this man like a preacher. He's leading men's Bible studies. What are you talking about? You don't have to text me. You handle your business. You do not have to worry about me hitting you up. It's a no. I wouldn't be worried about that. Now, an inconsistent man that's like, you're clearly telling me one thing, you're moving different, you're moving weird, you texting me all random hours, that's different. But this is a godly man that she's talking about. Like you said he leads the like prayer group or church group or men's group. Like, he's always at church. Well, how are you mad that he ain't texting you?
These Bible studies. Listen, like I said, I think I'm trying to process my thoughts right now because
You want me to read through the comments?
yeah.
All right. Let me see. What is the cherry supposed to be doing if you have no ice cream in your dish? Someone's like, woo. She said, oh, that's good. Why was I muted? I don't know. I don't even think I got no mods in here.
Okay.
I don't think. The man is the cherry. Our order is of order. I don't know what that means either. Yes, ma'am. You have to love yourself before you love anyone else. Have a life of build a life of your own first.
And I don't think it's that she's saying the man is the cherry. She's just saying that the spouse that we're looking for, the spouse that we're craving, is the cherry on top. The spouse isn't the main course, the main dish. Yeah, I think they're saying that the man being the cherry is out of order, is what I'm hearing, and that's not what we're saying.
Yeah, see, I think people have questioned me a lot about the Sunday analogy too, but I'm talking first of all from a godly perspective, not a worldly perspective. I feel like when you view a relationship in a worldly perspective, that cherry is like it completes the whole thing, and you're like living life for that person, or you know what I'm saying? But in a godly relationship, when I'm talking about the cherry, I do feel like the husband low-key completes the Sunday, and not completes me like I need him, because if you take that cherry off, my Sunday's still standing. You know what I'm saying? My cherry doesn't make the actual Sunday. It just puts it all together into one union. So now I have the leader that's leading me and my children. You know, it leads the whole family. So that's what I mean by the cherry. That analogy started because I call my person the cherry on top of the Sunday. You know, so now we all just say cherry, because I don't live for him. He doesn't build my life. No matter how great of a person he is, he's not my purpose. I have a purpose of my own, and then he's just the extra. You know, like he's just the bonus. He's a cherry on top.
That is good. Nika said, husband complements your life, but you have all your pieces to the puzzle necessary. And this is true. And that's what's crazy too, because I've never had a man, y'all, and Buki, I'm gonna have to catch you up later. I ain't about to talk about this man all on here because I don't know who's gonna be watching. Anyway, But it's just like, y'all, I just blanked out. And it be happening. Come on, come back to me, Kenzie. Come back to me. I feel like I've never had a man that actually made me want to be better. And this taps into like this whole masculine, feminine energy type of thing, right? I feel like I've always carried masculine energy. It's never something that I chose to do. However, there's never been a man that I met that was on my level to where I was able to kind of sit that hat down. And this is the first man where he's teaching me everything. And I want to sit in my feminine energy, and it has me thinking like, what can I add to him? I have never been put in a place to be like, what can I add to him? And I think that alone is like, that's a good man, Savannah, because every other relationship, every other encounter I've had is what can they add to me? Because
Yeah.
baby, I already know I got it. I already got it. What are you bringing to my table? But this man got me like, baby, what are you bringing to his?
Which is so beautiful because that's how you grow. Like that's how I've grown so much in my in my relationship because it's like I want to get better for him constantly and not change, but just grow, evolve. Like I don't want to stay in the same place because he's not always staying in the same place. Like he's always growing so much and progressing so much and learning so much that it makes me want to continue to get better and better and better. That's a good relationship. Not the worldly relationship where they're constantly taking from you and you're constantly going backwards. Like I can never grow. I could never grow in my last relationship because it was so toxic that I was always focused on what he was doing and who he was with and who he was doing that I could never even focus on my own being. Like I couldn't even have the ice cream. I ain't had no room for no ice cream.
It's crazy because I'm always just like, I never thought about spiritual maturity being a choice. But like you have the choice if you want to mature spiritually. Because it's like in this aspect of me talking to this man, right? I could choose to keep a worldly perspective and go off with my own thoughts, my own assumptions. But I'm choosing to be like, God, what's your perspective on this? I'm choosing to allow myself to think higher and submit to whatever it is that the Lord wants to tell me and run with that. It's always like, I feel like people don't act like, or maybe they don't act like, I don't think that people understand that there's a choice in this. Like you have a choice to do better. It's probably going to be the harder route, but you do have a choice.
Yeah. And it's very uncomfortable. I think that's what people don't be ready for. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for the uncomfortable conversations. I always viewed discomfort as reason to leave. When really oftentimes in my situation, a lot of that discomfort is opportunity for growth. So it's like, yeah, I'm really uncomfortable right now and not in a toxic, unhealthy way, but just in a way of like, I don't know what this experience is. I don't know how I feel in this moment. And when I can't pinpoint my emotions, when I don't know how I feel out of control because now I don't know how to handle myself. But I've learned so much through those discomfort, like through that discomfort or through those uncomfortable conversations and situations. Even looking back, I'm like, ooh, I could have handled that differently. How can I improve that moving forward? But I think that a lot of people aren't prepared. Like I wasn't prepared for the discomfort. So the first time that I felt it, I was like, oop, got a blast. And it's like, no, you have to learn to sit in that discomfort because lessons come from discomfort. You're not learning nothing in your comfort zone that you don't already know. That's why it's your comfort zone. That's why you're comfortable, right? All the lessons come outside of that comfort zone. So you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. And if you want to grow.
It's so easy to run. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, like we're not married, y'all, but y'all know how y'all have heard the saying that usually when you get married, it actually exposes everything about you. Like it's like a mirror to yourself showing you everything that it is that you have to work on. This man that I've been talking to, no, we are not married. We are not in a relationship. But if we're not even married and he's exposed this much within a month, could you imagine what comes within a marriage? In real life wanting to run because like when I tell you the Lord has been hitting me with all these things within 2 weeks, y'all, and I'm just like so many of us, we always think it's the man that's the problem. Like I said, I was fine until Chelsea told me I wasn't. I swore he was the problem. I was like, this man is inconsistent. This man. And Chelsea was like, Bookie, be receiving. I love you, but no, it sounds like you're kind of the problem. And I think that's crazy because, yes, I would like to run, but I also would love to be a wife one day. So it's kind of like, baby, it's time to do the work. And also, it's not fun staying this way. It's not fun having these overthinking tendencies. It's not fun having to overanalyze every single action that a man does. That's not fun. So clearly there's healing that needs to come from it. Like, let God heal that because that's not normal. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because so I know a lot of Chelsea's followers don't know, but I have like severe mama trauma. My mom and
Mm.
I, we do not have a relationship. And it's not like we never had a relationship. And I think low key, this makes it even worse because me and my mama was best friends until like 2020. And then once I
Ooh.
started becoming an adult, that's when it fell off. So it's like I knew what it was to have the love of a mother. And then
Mm.
it's just gone, right? And so I literally wept in my bed one night because I was like, this is where all of this stems from, in my opinion. I want that love so freaking bad where if I meet somebody, that's all I'm thinking about is can you fill that cup? And I
Mm.
think as long as I keep feeling that way, as long as I keep running into relationships with that same thinking, God's going to press pause until I realize that, baby, I'm the only one that can satisfy you. I feel like
Mm.
anytime I'm in a relationship or I'm meeting somebody and he sees me starting those habits again, he presses pause. Y'all
Yeah.
remember earlier I was talking about I'm always crying like, why God, every time I meet somebody, it's like it just stops. God
Mm.
realizes my baby's doing it again. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
press pause because that's not gonna take us nowhere. Nowhere good. We gotta
Yeah.
press pause. I need her to learn that I am your mother. I am your father. I am the
Mm.
only one that can satisfy all your needs. And until you truly understand that and believe that and start walking as if you know that, you
Mm.
can't go nowhere.
Yeah. That's what I think it was Charity that said something earlier about idolizing boyfriends. I don't know if it was Charity, it was somebody that said idolizing boyfriends. And that she was nervous because she's scared to idolize them or whatever. And I think that that goes along with that because and when we say idolize, I think that some people get that like misconstrued, or maybe I just got it misconstrued. Like, what does that even mean? But in a relationship, or even just in dating, it definitely happened for me a lot in dating. I would be dating somebody, and because I got so like attached to them, anytime that I needed anything, I ran to them first. And then when they didn't answer the phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, I'm so lost. Oh my gosh, like because if I'm sad, I need them to answer. Like I need a shoulder to cry on. If I'm lonely, I need them to hurry up and come through. If I'm anxious, I need them, like I need their attention all the time. And God's like, you don't need anything. You don't need anything from anybody. You might want it, but you don't actually need attention from anybody. You need to run to me. Otherwise, that's an idol. Like you're idolizing that man, that relationship. Not to mention, you're requiring you're requiring him to be Jesus in your life. You want that man to sit in a seat where God's supposed to be? Why? What? Like that don't even make sense. You're putting way too high of expectations on a human being.
And that goes with anything, honestly. Like even outside of a spouse, like when something goes wrong, who are you running to? Like
Mm.
even y'all, before we had this call, I was telling Chelsea, baby, I got the bubble guts. I don't know your people. Like I don't know your people. I'm scared to get on live. I was telling her how nervous I was to get on live and talk about these things. And I called her and she didn't answer. And then
Mm.
she texted me like, hey, I'm about to call you back. And I was like, no, it's okay. I'm talking to God.
Mm.
Because then instantly he told me in that moment when Chelsea didn't pick up, why are you running to her? She can't
Mm.
help what's going on inside of you. She may be able to help you in a split second and sugarcoat like the exterior layer to make you feel good, but I'm going to be the one that's going to help you internally,
Mm.
and it's going to be lasting. There is internal healing that needs to take place for all of these issues, and we be
Mhm.
running to man.
Yeah, we be running for band-aids because band-aids are quick.
Girl,
So in that moment, I can be a band-aid for you. I'm real witty too. I got a lot to say. I can make you feel better in a
you
second.
know,
But when you run to God, he will fix the problem.
open
Therefore,
heart
next
surgery. You
exactly.
up, you will never be the same. A
Yep.
new heart.
Yep.
Chelsea giving me band-aids. We're running to band-aids, bro.
Yeah, because it's
So,
quick.
so many people. We're running around with just layers of band-aids all over.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yes. I talk about that all the time, like the band-aid thing, because surgery takes too much. You got to prep for surgery. You got to heal from surgery. Like it takes too much. It requires too much. Whereas a band-aid is real quick. You just take the little thing off and put in, and it's 1, 2, 3, pull, you're done. Like it don't come with a lot, but that wound will still always be there. If it doesn't fix, you're going to be wearing that band-aid forever. You have to actually heal the wound.
You know what's crazy? I love that analogy. Because I'm sitting up here thinking, like, when we get with the Lord and say we get saved and all these things and we start going on this healing journey, we expect it to be quicker than it really is. But if you've been getting band aids and slapping band aids on top of your problems for decades, how long do you think it's going to take to truly remove those
Yeah.
band-aids? And on top of that removal of the band-aids, once the band-aids is removed, now we still got to have a surgery.
Yeah.
It, and then that's another level of healing. It literally is levels to this.
Yeah.
Ah, that
I
reminds me,
know.
Mike Todd has a sermon. Oh my God. And of course I can't remember what it's called, but it was talking about something like the Holy Spirit is like your tailor. So like, you know how men, women, I don't know, you need this suit, your tux, you need it to get fixed or whatever to fit you right. You go to a tailor and, you know, they tailor it to your body. And he's like, so many people run from the Holy Spirit and they run from correction so fast, they never sit there until the tailor is done with their work to show them what the finished picture will look like. And so now every time they run and they come back, the tailoring process has to start over because baby done gained 20 pounds. Now we got to add cloth. Now we got to do extra stuff. When if you would have just stayed in the process, we would have already been done with this.
Right.
Girl.
Right. Ooh. Can you hear me?
Much. This too much.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You completely cut out because my son was calling my phone. I forgot to silence it. So like I heard it, but then it went away. Dang, I'm sorry.
What part did you hear? Do you remember the last part?
You said Mike Todd, he was going to get tailored.
Okay, I'll start over. So there was a sermon, I don't remember what it was called, but he was basically talking about, y'all know how when men, they have tuxedos or whatever, and they go to a tailor to get it fixed to their body, like perfectly. He was saying how people don't stay in position long enough for God to do the work. He was saying like the Holy Spirit is our tailor. Is that what it's called? That'd be sounding so weird, tailor. Anyway, he was like, it takes so long that people will run from it. So it's like, I don't have time to sit here and get this suit tailored, so I'm gonna leave. And then he leaves, and then he comes back months, years later, whatever the case may be. And now there's more work that needs to be done because now you gained 20 pounds. Now this suit don't even fit no more. Now we got to start from scratch. When it's like, if you would have just sat in it and dealt with the feelings of loneliness and dealt with the feelings of insecurity and dealt with all of these hard things, baby, we could have been in a whole new spot by now. But because it's like you keep running.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking to me. I keep running. I got to cry on this camera. You about to get me to cry.
No, it's okay. No, I bring that up often because I'm the same way when it comes to seasons, for sure. Like, because that's what tailoring is, right? Like, you have to sit in the season that you're in, whether it's just comfortable or negative or whatever it is. If you submit to the process and you sit in the season that you're in, you're going to pull out all the lessons that God needs you to pull out in that season. The problem is we keep trying to rush into the next season. So if we're in an uncomfortable season, we're trying to hurry up and get to the comfortable season. We're trying to rush into the next one all the time. And then once we get there, we realize, wait, we missed out on all the lessons that we were supposed to learn in the last season. And now we go back to the last season because God's going to give you them lessons regardless. You cannot get to where you're going if you're not prepared. So you have to go back and get the lessons. And now we sitting here questioning ourselves and questioning God. Like, wait, why am I going backwards? Why did God send me backwards? No, baby, you sent yourself backwards because you didn't want to sit in it. You were so thirsty to be comfortable.
You'll always know I got sermons for you, right? Sarah Jakes, she has a sermon called Sitting Back, and her analogy was baking a cake. And she's like, so many of us will wonder, like Chelsea said, why are we getting sent back to these seasons? Like, I've been here, I've done that. Yeah, that's probably true, but you're not coming out the way God expected for you to. You're not coming out the way God needs you to for you to elevate to the next level, right? She was like the same way. You make a cake, you open up the oven, you check on it, it's kind of doughy, put it back. Kind of doughy, put it back. That is literally what the Lord does to us. So for example, and I talked about this in one of my YouTube videos, I had lost over like 60 pounds years ago. And when I tell you power in the tongue is you better watch your mouth, okay? Because I remember I would always say, oh my God, if I could just go back to that season and do it all over again, I would. Because the self-love journey was such a beautiful thing. And I don't feel like I was so busy on just losing the weight that I wasn't even learning or seeing all of the small things that I was learning about Mackenzie. Like, I just rushed past all of that, and I was like, I just want that number to go down.
Yeah.
God gave me exactly what I wanted, so watch your mouth. I will never say that again once I lose this weight. Watch your mouth, okay? And so he sent me back to the season where I've gained all the weight, and now I'm trying to lose it again. And it was like last week where I was in the car bawling, like, God, I see what you're doing here. I prayed to be here. I prayed to be here, and I see that you are helping me make peace with where I'm at. You're helping me learn how to love my body. You're helping me learn how to love where I'm at in this present time, because it's like we spend our whole life rushing. Where are we rushing to? I was literally in my old phone. I had it charged up and watching my old videos and knowing where my mindset was in those places. I'm like, that was a beautiful girl, and she was going through hell because she chose to be there.
Yeah.
She chose to go through hell. Like, your circumstances were beautiful. You're a beautiful girl. What was wrong, baby?
Mm.
And I'm like, I refuse to keep living my life and get to the age of 40 and look back on times like this one
Yeah.
and be like, why weren't you happy?
Yep. That's why I have to enjoy every moment now. And what's crazy is I used to think that God sent me back as if it was punishment, not realizing that oh my God, God is so gracious. He didn't send you back. He allowed you to go back and get what you forgot and get what you missed out on, right? So that you can prepare yourself for the season that He's sending you into, because you don't want to go nowhere that you're not prepared for. It. Talk about discomfort. First of all, God ain't going to allow you to go somewhere you're not prepared for, but it's not punishment to get sent back. It's more grace. It's like, okay, God's allowing me to go back and try again. It's a new opportunity. But instead of viewing it as that, we're always thinking negative. We're always playing victim in our own minds. And we're like, oh my gosh, I failed. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. Oh my gosh, what did I do to deserve this? It's not that you did anything to deserve that necessarily. It's not always that. Sometimes it's that God loves you so much that He's allowing you to go back and get what you forgot and get what you needed, right? And that was a hard one for me. I always viewed everything as punishment.
Bro, child, to go back and get what you got. No, because seriously, like the Lord is a good father. He would be a poor father to send us to the next level, knowing dang well we left weapons and tools that we were supposed to gather for one season. Kind of like when I was telling y'all earlier how He told me, did you see with the little that I gave you how we lost communication? But you're asking me for these big things. You're asking me for these grand things, baby. I got that for you.
Yeah.
But you are not going to make it. I
Yeah.
would be a poor father if I just gave you that because I know you wanted it so greatly, knowing that the world was going to eat you alive. I'd rather keep you here where you're safe. You can be safe and mad at me. I'd rather keep you here. And that's wild to me. And like Chelsea says, like, we're not always the victim. Like, He's like, baby, I'm trying to prepare you. Go get your gun. Go get that sword. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why don't
We
you
do
want
that.
that?
We do that all the time though. Like we are our own worst enemy when it comes to that. Like we view everything as punishment, not understanding how much God loves us and how gracious God is. Like bro, you're not being punished necessarily. Like God just loves you and wants you to teach. And we were talking about this. We were talking about this whatever day it was, yesterday or something, where I was like dang, what was I talking about? I just lost it.
We talking about all the things, y'all. All the
I
things.
forget I told you something because I remember being in Kroger and I told you something about that, but I lost it. What
About
I was about to say.
teaching.
Oh, it was good too. If it's needed, it'll come back. Hey, sunshine. I just remember saw her comment, but if it's needed, it'll come back, I suppose.
Okay,
'Cause I,
well, we'll see if it comes back, but I do want to talk about the topic of, because I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. So, y'all, I be struggling with serving a God that taunt and teases, right? I know that we don't serve a God that taunt and teases you, but for a long time, that was my belief. I'm always talking to Chelsea and tell her the biggest part of my struggle is ever since I felt like I knew of a God, I was like, all this God does is He taunts and teases me. And when I say that, it's because He'll always put me in rooms where I'm in rooms with everything that I want that I've never been able to have. Like, I don't have my mom, right? I'm always around people that have this beautiful mother-daughter relationship. I don't have the relationship that I'm wanting with the opposite sex. I'm always around these people that have these beautiful relationships. For so long, I swore to you, I'm just here to witness people's miracles because this man don't care about me. And it's crazy because that's where spiritual maturity comes into play, right? You start to learn the characteristics of God. You start to learn the love of God and how He really loves you as His child. He's not going to do you like that, baby. I'm not taunting and teasing you. I'm showing you what's possible. I'm showing you that, baby, this is coming for you too. And I need you to learn how to handle yourself because you're not in the room just because. You're not in the room for a coincidence or happenstance. You're in the room because it's coming to you too. And that's
right.
a long time to realize. And Chelsea, I don't know if you're going to remember, but you said you had something to say to that. Because remember, I texted you and I said, part of me in this season, even though I'm very more so spiritually mature, I don't believe because I know better. But part of me is still like, am I serving a God that taunt and teases because I'm still in those same rooms, but yet my miracle has not come forth? And I'm like, there's part of me who's like, God, can you prove it? Can you do something?
Oh yeah. No, I remember that.
I'm gonna save it for the live because I got you.
Oh yeah, because I wasn't trying to go in on her through text.
She wanted to do it in live in front of all my homegirls and homeboys.
No, I'm not gonna go in, but of course I do got some points. Like, for one, I think you should never compare yourself to anybody in the room because your journey's not the same as their journey, and your journey's not the same as their journey because your purpose ain't the same as their purpose. So maybe within their purpose, they needed their mother in their life. Not saying that you didn't. I'm just saying don't compare your journey to somebody else's because their miracle ain't gonna be the same as your miracle. But what was it? Dang. What was the last part of what you said when I said in the text? The last part that you said in the text. Because there was one part specific. We were sending so many daggone texts back and forth, but there was one part specifically, and I can't see it because I'm on my phone. And it's not on my iPad.
Can you start?
Yeah, comparison is a thief of joy. Comparison will whoo. You cannot compare yourself to anybody. But no, there was one specific part right before I said, I'm gonna save it.
I said having that mindset and experience sucks because I know it's not true, but still waiting for God to show up. I'm still waiting for God to show up and prove it. And you said, oop, I'm gonna hold my comment on that one because I feel what you mean. That's all you said.
No, it was before that.
Oh, because I talked about, okay. So I was like, or maybe I'm just always the last on the list. Like, I feel like I'm going to be the lady in the Bible that gets blessed when she's 99 years old. Is that it? I'm dramatic. I'm sorry.
I laughed at that one. Oh, it was, well, I mean, there's so many points I feel like I can make, but I feel like you're not waiting on God to prove anything. You're waiting on you to prove it to yourself. I think that a lot of us do that. Like we think that we're waiting on God to prove something. God don't have to prove himself to you for one. You need to prove it to you. And I spoke about that in a video before because when I first started talking about God openly, people wanted me to prove God's existence to them in their life. And I was like, first of all, that's not my job to prove that God exists in your space. It's your job to prove that God exists in your space. Like you're waiting, you're not waiting on me to prove it. You're not even waiting on God to prove it. You're waiting on yourself to prove it. And what I mean is you're waiting on you to go seek the knowledge. You're waiting on you to go seek God's plan for your life. Like you go seek it. You know, you're not waiting on God to do nothing because you're exactly where God needs you to be. You know what I'm saying? God put you exactly where he needs you. So you're not waiting on God to do anything. God's always moving. You're waiting on you to move, right? Like you're waiting on you to put yourself into a position to where you deserve it. You're waiting on you to realize your value and realize that you deserve everything that God has for you. And until you do that, God's not going to give you none of that because you don't think you deserve it. So you're going to fumble it.
And let's talk, there's heavy conviction there. There always has been. And I feel like this is like the first season where I'm like, I'm not praying for instruction anymore. Like, I feel like every single year and probably like every day night, there are people that are praying, God, what do I do? What do I do? Just tell me what to do. He's like, baby, I told you 5 years ago what you needed to do and you haven't done it. And so I finally stepped into a sense of maturity and a year where I'm like, I'm not asking God for instruction because I know all of the instructions. He gave me the 1 through 10 of what I needed to do, but I have chosen not to do them. So now my prayers have changed. My prayers have shifted. God, give me obedience. Help me learn how to be disciplined, to do what it is that you've called me to do. Even when it's not easy, help me stay disciplined to read your word. Help me stay disciplined to get up in the morning and go work out when I don't feel like it. Help me stay disciplined to do these daily mundane tasks because those are the characteristics that are going to lead forth and carry me into a 40+ year marriage. There's a correlation there.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times we feel like God's quiet. Like in those moments where like, oh, God's quiet, God left, God's not giving me instruction. No, baby, God's always speaking. God just already told you what to do and you not listening. I can relate it to my child because there's a lot of times when I'm like, Tristan, go put your shoes on. And now he's sitting in my ear, yip yapping, asking me for another question or another thing. And I'm not speaking, not because I don't have nothing to say to him, not because I'm ignoring him necessarily or because I don't love him. But baby, I already told you what to do. You don't need to worry about the next move because you're not even ready for the next instruction yet. Go put your shoes on. Like it's a very simple instruction.
That's good in itself. Go put your shoes on.
That's
because
it.
where I am taking you, baby, you are about to soar. You're about to run. I'm just asking you to put your shoes on.
Yes.
And it's crazy, Chelsea. I think this was on one of your lives earlier when you were talking about how he was in the backseat upset about counting. Like, that's the only chore that I gave you to do. I'm the one that has to do this. I'm the one that got to cook the groceries. I'm the one that got to take them in. I'm the one that got to put them up. I'm the one that got to pay for them. and you're crying because all I told you to do was count to improve your knowledge.
Man.
Y'all, she gave the best analogy on one of her lives the other day. Like, the Lord literally sent his son to die for some strangers,
Yes.
to die for us. And we
Yes.
sitting up here, all he's asked us to do is steward ourselves well, to steward what he gives us well. And we be fighting, kicking, and crying to give money back in tithe. We be fighting, kicking, and crying to wake up and take care of ourselves, to take a bath, to brush our teeth,
Man.
to do these smallest things.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm asking you to do the bare minimum, and I want to give you the world.
Seriously.
What is wrong with you?
People, I remember because people ask me all the time, like, how do you stay consistent? How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I'm like, baby, I'm just counting. Like, they'd be like, isn't it so hard? No, I'm literally just counting. For those that wasn't on the live, I'll run through it real quick. When we go to the grocery store, I make my 7-year-old count after, like, on the way home. Obviously, he don't have to spend no money. I got us covered, but I want him to learn the value of money. So he counts to the number of money we just spent, right? So on this particular day, we spent $202 at the grocery store, and he had already had a bad day, and he was in the back seat the whole ride home, boo-hoo, like snot-nosed Roscoe crying, like causing a scene. And he was counting through the tears, right? And I was so frustrated. And I turned around and like went off. I'm like, Tristan, all I'm asking you to do is count. I'm like, we had to go to the grocery store. I didn't want to go to the grocery store. I didn't want to be around all these folks. I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to meal plan. Like, I didn't want to do none of this. And all you have to do is count. And I'm telling you, right there in the car in that moment, like quick, God was like, that's you. And I was like, no, don't embarrass me in front of my child. Like, but it's true, because God literally convicted me in that moment. He's like, all I ever ask you to do is count. I just asked you to steward well over what I gave you. I just asked you to get up and move your body so that you can be physically fit for where I'm taking you. Like, that's all I ask, is for you to take care of yourself in the process and submit yourself to me, and I'll do everything else. All you have to do is sit back there and look cute and count, and you can't do it. You're complaining. Like, you had the hardest job, not realizing what I gotta do, what I did. What? Oh my gosh, it was so good. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, every time I catch myself complaining, I'm like, Chelsea, all you have to do is count. This is you counting. And we do it as humans, as society. Like, we wake up and we're complaining about everything. Oh, I have to go to the gym. Oh, I have to eat healthy. Oh, you don't have to do anything. But when all you're required to do is count, why don't you want to? Why don't you want to do all of these things, knowing that God has such a beautiful life planned for you if you just sit back there and count? That's it. It's not that difficult. We make it way harder than it has to be.
That perspective was it for me. That was. I want to read this verse though. Jacoma gave me this verse. Is James chapter 1, 12 through 15. Girl, this is good. Y'all keep giving me verses because I'm gonna have to study this one. Y'all, it says, I'm reading from the NLT.